Hello, everybody, and welcome to Hold Up, the show where we dive deep inside your childhood nostalgia, pull the movies from your past out to see if they hold up. Today, I'm not only holed up with Andrew, but I'm holed up with our good friend, award-winning director, Derek Evans, live on the tailor-made Blue Chew hotline.
What it do, my people?
Hey, Derek, how do you feel about our new sponsors, TaylorMade and Blue Chew? I want your feedback on that.
TaylorMade and Blue Chew. Well,
Yeah.
there's a reason they exist, fellas. Here we are.
And there's a reason they sponsor us. So, yeah.
There's a reason they sponsor us. It's not just building confidence.
Do you have tailor-made clubs?
No.
Derek, do you even have golf clubs?
What is golf?
Yeah. So
You're talking about
that.
you're talking about the one previously named Mexico, now America, the Gulf of America. Right?
Well,
Is that the kind of golf you're talking about when you say golf?
You
You're
have to say it with
close.
your chest and with more of a redneck accent.
yeah.
Well, I ain't never heard this golf thing before. You're saying that's a sport?
Hey, brother, you live in Georgia, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. You ever been to Augusta, just a couple hours northeast of where you currently reside?
Of course I have.
Okay, so you get where I'm going.
This
That's
is
not
going
funny, but-
off the rails. But speaking of irons, we watched the Iron Giant this week.
We did. Also, we got to say we subbed out one father for another. That's right. Kyle, his wife Erica, had a baby. I guess she was born Saturday evening.
Yep.
Yes, I believe so. Congrats
The
to
baby
Kyle. He
was
is-
not Erica.
No. Baby, the baby girl, little Winnie.
Yep.
She was born to this world Saturday evening. So, congrats to them. Congrats to Kyle.
Congrats, Kyle. And on top of
Congrats.
that, now Erica has two babies she's taking care of instead of one. So she's
And
doubled
one
her
is a lot
pleasure.
bigger than the other.
And they're-
So,
Send her your thoughts, send her your prayers, send her a brand new shipment from TaylorMade.
That's right.
Oh.
And some Blue Chew.
It's
Because once you become a father, I hear you need Blue Chew.
He's gonna need it.
oh,
Well,
God.
Derek, before we jump into the Iron Giant, I want to ask you a question. I want you to describe your energy levels today. This is something Kyle does on the show a lot. We miss it, and I don't know when Kyle's going to be back. So can you describe your energy level using 1950s sci-fi terms?
Ooh.
I'll see here. Now, Chase, you done pulled a boner with that question. I am feeling mighty. I'm feeling mighty spirited, I'll say. Oh boy. And I think that I'm in a fair mood, I'll say. Tired, sure. My corns are killing me. But I feel good. I'm probably no good at that.
No, that was
Save me.
that
Somebody
was
step
almost
in.
like a Pet Cemetery sequel with what's his name.
Somebody step in. That is, please say.
I was just laughing. I was waiting for you to get there. I was waiting for it.
He never got there.
I kind of knew it was.
For all this
happening. I got
time
that
to never
sense,
get
but-
there, there's Blue Chew to help you get there.
Oh, you can't get to the green on your golf course too. Let's talk TaylorMade. We are losing listeners by the moment. Like at this point, with like they are
not the
dropping
paid
off.
listeners. We get paid listeners with Blue Chew and TaylorMade. So they might be bots, but hey, they add to our numbers. Right?
They're going to add to the number of cease and desist letters we're about to receive in the mail.
Hey, listen, $20 is $20.
Hey, we've been over this before.
We have. Oh my God.
I'm really sad that all of our preamble isn't going to make the podcast. You guys missed a good show.
Yeah, honestly, we should have saved some of that. It was deep.
I'm always recording, and so is the federal government. But anyway, moving on. We did watch The Iron Giant from 1999. Derek, I'm going to start with you. You're our guest, so you get to go first here. What do you remember about this movie when you were a kid? What does it hold a special place in your heart?
So I actually watched a lot of the movies and TV shows that I watched growing up at my grandmother's house. We didn't have cable or anything like that at my house growing up. And not until my parents didn't get cable until I was maybe in high school. And by then, the movie had already been out for a minute. But I remember watching The Iron Giant with my cousins and my brother, my older brother, James. And oh, yeah, we were in love. The Iron Giant was an incredible mm, movie as a kid. I remember feeling, and we'll get to how we feel about it nowadays, whether it be the same or different. But I don't want to spoil any surprises. But I do think that, yeah, that movie absolutely held a special place in our hearts. Yeah. What about you guys?
Andrew, you're next. Let us know what you think.
I saw it in theaters. I remember going to see it in theaters. It was Woodhill Cinema in Lexington. I remember it like it was yesterday. So I don't remember much of the movie itself. I just remember the lasting feeling that I had after leaving. It's a kids movie, but there are some deeper and darker themes to this one, and I remember it feeling a little heavy. Like I liked it, but I remember feeling some sadness after that because I was only like 7 years old. But I remember just being a little heavy. Overall, liking it though. I watched it a second time, I believe, at a friend's birthday party less than a year later. And they didn't do tons of marketing with this movie, but I remember having the Iron Giant toy, like the action figure of the actual Iron Giants. So
That just unlocked a memory for me. I forgot about the toys. Oh
yeah,
my God. I'm looking it up right now just to see them.
yep.
Oh my
They were a
God.
thing. They were a thing. It wasn't as in depth as like say Star Wars or Jurassic Park or something like that, but they existed.
I don't
And I
remember
remember
having any of the toys, like so that is kind of one of those things that
I
I missed out on.
I
You can
made my
buy one
mom.
right now. Deluxe action figure, Amazon,
I bet
7
they're
inches.
expensive. 7 inches is
Not
that
not crazy.
would we consider 7
$35.
inches deluxe?
I would consider 7 inches small. So
Yeah,
yeah.
same. Yeah, I would too. But $31 isn't bad. I figured it would be
35.
higher end.
35.
35, yeah,
Yeah.
that's not bad.
35. I don't know
Um,
if that's an OG figurine though. It looks like the OG one. I don't know if this particular one on Amazon is OG. But
okay.
$35, not
I
that big.
I remember I begged my mom when we were in Toys R Us to buy it for me, and she did. So I had it. I think I had a couple. I don't think they were tons. I don't think they were like tons of different toys, but I had a couple, and definitely one of the Iron Giant himself. So
That's interesting. You know, I didn't see this movie in theaters. I actually saw it on VHS, or at least I don't remember seeing it in theaters.
I want to not to interrupt you, because I didn't answer that question quite clearly. The same here, Chase. I did not see it in theater.
Yeah, or maybe I did. You know, it's one of those things that maybe I just don't remember us seeing it in theaters, but I gravitated towards this movie as a kid and especially now as an adult because I mean, I don't know how you guys feel. I know me and Andrew have talked about this on the podcast before. Derek, did you notice the overwhelming love for 1950s monster movies and kaiju movies? That was like
Oh,
just
100%. Something I wouldn't have recognized as a child, but I definitely recognize as an adult. Yes.
and it was like it was weird because at the time in the 80s, this is kind of after that, but in the 80s there was like this huge blow up where all the filmmakers and directors, especially horror and sci-fi directors, were kind of either remaking those movies that they watched when they were kids or they were making monster movies to kind of flash back to that era of movie making. It reminded me of watching like Godzilla, King Kong, all those Japanese kaiju movies. It came from outer space. You had this like level of filmmaking that just kind of captured your imagination, you know? And it was that world building that kind of really made me enjoy film a lot. And so like I really resonated with it now just for that reason. And I don't really remember, like you said, Derek, I don't remember that standing out to me as a kid.
Yeah.
But it could have been one of those reasons that I watched that movie a lot because I used to stay up late at night. My parents don't know this. Well, I guess they do know now. My mom's not listening to this, but I used to
Your
stay
mom
up.
doesn't listen to the podcast?
Hell no, she doesn't listen to the podcast.
Fire
And she
her.
shouldn't. Yeah.
Fire her.
But if my dad's listening, he'll understand. I used to stay up later than I was supposed to and turn on like Monster Vision and watch a lot of those 1950s, 1960s black and white monster movies from Japan. So I did that as a kid, and so I guess I just always related to this character. But
You know,
Oh,
and
I was gonna say
I
you're
do.
cultured, Chase, for watching all of those as a kid because I fucking didn't even think to do that as a kid. So
I watched Godzilla and all the Godzillas with my grandfather. He was actually my step grandpa, but he was grandpa to me, Marshall, and he was mad into two things: WWE and Godzilla. And so he had us. I mean, he's the one who showed me the original Star Wars, like all the great movies. And that was the same house that we watched Iron Giant with my cousins and brothers. I believe on just VHS.
do you have a favorite animated film? I know I'm kind of like gyrating off
I
on this,
don't
but
I don't know that I have necessarily. I'd have to really think about it. An animated film. I would say as far I know that I have favorite animated series. Gargoyles and Batman the animated series are the two greatest
classic.
animated series ever. And I'm talking Gargoyles season 1, and yeah, stepping into season 2. Season 3 of Gargoyles not the greatest. They sort of started getting a little wild, but the first 2 seasons of Gargoyles and definitely Batman the animated series head to toe are just incredible. There's a reason that those are incredible. Even looking back, that I objectively say that I still find them enjoyable to watch and fulfilling cinematically. They are digestible on different levels. As a kid, I can digest Gargoyles and Batman at face value as these cool superhero like things. And as an adult, I can digest them on the more philosophical reasons that they exist and the things that they debate and talk about. And I think that that is what makes them so interesting, is that they transcend age in that way. And I feel very strongly that the Iron Giant is the exact same. And they even make, they even have a quick little nod to comic books and whatnot in the movie itself. But I remember feeling as a kid watching this that, like, oh, this is incredible. Holy cow, there's this giant robot. I love this. And oh my gosh, it's so sad. And then it's so great. And like, what a great movie. And looking back, I'm like, this is a to deal with themes of death is like a very adult thing, and it's a real life thing. I say adult thing as if it's only an adult thing, but it's not. Some of the greatest movies as kids that we get to watch deal with death. I mean, think of the Disney classic, been around forever, Bambi. It's putting death right at you.
hey Chase, what did we just record a few weeks ago?
yeah. So this all resonates because we were fresh off Land Before Time, and that was that.
Oh man, I haven't caught that episode yet, guys. Holy cow!
Oh, that's a journey. That's an emotional
Oh,
journey.
Me and Andrew bawled like
Um,
children, and we're not afraid to admit it right here live
yeah,
on air. But
oh,
I cried multiple times watching Land Before Time. Truly, and
I
we
still
can
have it
talk
on
about.
VHS at my mom's.
Oh, never get rid of it. Keep that
Mm.
media. Keep that physical media forever. That's one that I honestly I would cherish for as long as I was alive.
and I'm
So
curious, Derek, if you ever get a chance to watch Land Before Time, because you're way more technical than me, Andrew, and Kyle. But we were watching it from a digital space, and we were like, it doesn't look as good. From the look of it, it doesn't hit as hard as it used to as
Mm.
kids, because it's
yeah,
just media that only like transfers to VHS. It
it
just
was
Uh,
still beautiful at times, but like there were moments where it was a little fuzzy or it just didn't resonate with the 65-inch Samsung LED screen that I was watching on. It just
yeah.
didn't mesh.
That is an interesting observation, and I don't want to derail us too much of getting tangented on technical specs. However, I pay attention to technical specs all the time,
Yeah.
and I think that there is a compression. I watched it on Amazon. Did you guys watch it on Amazon?
yes,
I
I think
watched it
that was
on
the only.
YouTube, actually, YouTube TV.
Did you
Gotcha.
Yep.
watch the deluxe version?
The
There's
signature
a
believe I-
new.
edition, yeah.
I did
Yeah.
Signature Edition. Yes, that's the one that was the only one that was available. So
Oh, okay. I just watched the OG one, which I'm
okay.
sure is just. I'm sure it's the same story and everything, but they might not have updated animation or
When
any kind of thing like that. However, I think on Amazon I noticed very odd compression artifacts, and I have high speed internet, so I'm sure they're still compressing the media no matter what. And so there were some things where the animation felt stilted in ways that I'm like, I don't think it was meant to be to come across to be visualized that way, it's probably a compression issue. Either way, yeah, just something I noticed.
But Derek, to piggyback off of what you were talking about with the signature series, the only thing I noticed that was different was that Brad Bird, the director who directed The Incredibles and Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, which is a fun 2 movies to do, he added a Tomorrowland ad in one of the TV spots where Hogarth is watching TV constantly. There's a Tomorrowland that they added
Looked it
in.
up. Yeah, apparently there's 3 minutes of finished footage added to the film, including a Giant's dream sequence. I think this is excellent for us guys that we have somebody, myself, who did not get to see the signature version, got to watch the OG, and you guys got to watch a whole new sequence.
Interesting.
It looks like
Yeah,
it was not in the OG. Did you realize you were watching something that wasn't in the OG?
I didn't realize it till after. I saw that I had rented the signature edition, and I was like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, I've never seen a signature edition before, and I thought it was just like the better digitally compressed audio or what. I don't know what they try to label things differently all the time and re-release them, and then I looked it up that there was some added stuff to it, and the Tomorrowland thing stuck out to me because I remember that ad in the movie, but I was like, oh, interesting.
We were talking about how it lent itself to the format or the times, etc. I actually rewatching it here. As a kid, you're not paying, I don't know, unless you're some sort of savant, unless you're Chase, maybe. You're not paying attention to the artistry of of cinematic language being laid upon, laid at your feet. Watching it as an adult, I actually found the animation quite stunning at several moments. Even that opening sequence where we dive into the hurricane was incredible from an animation standpoint. I'm like, whoa, that is
not to get ahead of myself, but I agree with you. I love the opening sequence in outer space. Like I thought it was visually appealing, and I don't want to say stunning again, but like it was really really well made.
And there were some times in the woods when we were with the giant. There were some times where the logic kind of fell to the side for visual sake. But I'm okay with that. Within a film, I think it's a-okay sometimes.
Yeah.
But
I will say this movie is praised, and a lot of people look upon this movie fondly for the animation. It was critically acclaimed for that very reason.
They win awards?
I can't remember. That's something. Andrew's our lookup guy. Andrew looked that up.
Let me see real quickly.
Did they win any awards for the animation? Did the film itself win any awards?
It won one BAFTA Children's Award.
Nice.
One?
That seems
Best Feature Film BAFTA Children's Award.
Seems a little ridiculous.
What an honor to win Best Feature Film, and that shows the complicated politics of any of those award shows with something that's artistic. Like for instance, I'll just say it because I work as a director. When you look at something that might win a Best Film, but how can you have a Best Film without having a director or a team of people who are doing some damn good work? And I think it is a complicated thing, and maybe it's just spreading the love, which is a-okay, because more than just your film deserves to be lauded if it's getting lauded at all. And there are lots of great films, so I understand wanting to share the love, but I do find it an interesting conversation to say, how can you have a Best Film, but the director, everybody has to be working top of their game to be able to pull that off, right?
Especially, I can understand having great special effects and not winning anything else, or maybe a supporting actress or actor win an award and maybe the movie's okay or not as good as other movies. So, I understand those awards more, but I do agree with you. How is it the Best Film and the Best Director not the same award?
So is the real answer just that we shouldn't have a best of award?
Well, how are they going to sell the collective Blu-rays? Derek,
You're
if
right.
they
How are
don't
we going to
like
sell signature editions?
signature
If we
editions or
don't,
remastered or like the
couldn't
definitive
help but notice
director's
they didn't
chair.
put. Couldn't help but notice they didn't laud the BAFTA award win on the cover of this.
And how are they going to get people to tune into primetime award show and make money off that and collect the ratings?
That's right.
Who knows?
So-
Who knows?
Yeah, you got to factor that in. That's really
The world-
important.
It's all a mystery, man.
So
It's all a mystery.
I want to ask you guys this. Do you think this movie, in your opinion, just your opinion, especially like being a kid and being an adult now, do you think this movie just kind of came and went and people kind of forgot about it over time? And then
Yes,
it became a nostalgic factor. Now it's starting to get the love. I'm not going to say it deserves because that would spoil it if we're moving forward, but it's getting a lot of love right now. And do you think that that's more nostalgic for kids like us that have finally grown up and we're like, oh yeah, the Iron Giant, I do remember that? Or do you think it's just one of those great movies, possibly, that gets lost in the shuffle?
I think it's a combination of that
100%.
and the nostalgia. You know, I haven't gotten the numbers. This might be a good segue into that here, but just like, you know, I like to go read up on what people say about movies that we watch just to, you know, have some ammunition and have some talking points and whatnot. But, you know, doing, you know, a couple searches on Reddit, like there are multiple people who mentioned how the marketing and like funding for this movie was not as great as it should have been. So, you know, you talk about potentially getting like lost in the fold.
But let me ask
it
this
wasn't.
though: are there people that you know that have never heard of this movie though?
That's a good point.
I haven't polled a lot of people though, because it is one of those movies that I even forgot about for a long time until someone brought it up, and I was like, "Oh yeah, the Iron Giant." And it was like, so.
I guess I would have forgotten about it in the sense that just time has gone on. But if somebody was to say, "Hey, name maybe your top 10 favorite animes," this might have actually percolated in my brain as a response.
You know, I'll probably touch on that a bit
Yeah.
more at the end because I don't want to give any thoughts away.
Yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves here, and
I'm
We
just
are.
edging it. That's
So
all. I'm
you
just
are.
edging.
so instead of getting ahead of ourselves, Andrew, how did this movie do in 1999? That's what me and Derek want to know.
Let me look up some numbers for you fine
Not
folks.
ready at all. Derek,
No,
do you,
I'm ready.
while
I'm
he's
ready.
looking, Derek, do you want to guess the budget? That's one of our favorite things to do here.
Yeah, I think the budget. Let's see. What year did this actually come out?
99.
So it
Yep.
came out in '99.
All right. So at the turn of 2000, animated feature. Who was the Is there a major company that was behind this? Who
It
was the
was
major company
Warner
behind this?
Brothers.
Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Okay, so a WB film. Okay, a WB animated feature at the turn of the 2000s. I'm gonna guess had like a $35 million budget.
It was 2 times the amount of that. It was
Oh
70
my
million.
god!
Ooh,
Incredible.
They put a lot.
Incredible.
That would explain why the animation's really good.
Incredible.
A $70
And-
million budget for a kids film running at about an hour and a half.
And I'm just going to tell you that it only grossed worldwide 23 million and some change.
No, say it isn't so.
Really?
That's it. Really?
So really, genuinely, there are people who have probably never heard of this movie,
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
and they're just hiding it. They're
So-
not admitting to it.
So we just nailed the reason. 22 million worldwide. That means it came and went.
It flopped big time, and they did not try to. I mean, they made toys, so they had to have tried to put something behind it. But I think that effort was a little lackadaisical.
I tell you what, I remember loving this movie so fondly. That feels. I didn't live in the world where this was a flop.
No,
Yeah.
none of us did. I don't know.
No.
I don't know
Yeah.
anybody as a kid that hated this movie as a kid.
Yeah.
So this does feel weird, but I kind of thought it was going to be something like that because a kid's animated movie, what do they do if it's a huge success? They make sequels. We didn't get a single sequel out of this, and they left the door open in this movie for a sequel. And so the fact that I never saw any of that, I was like, it had to have at least broke even or bombed at the box office. But a $70 million budget, you're already with a kids movie again. You're working uphill.
You know, I wonder this too, to add to that, it's a small tangent, but definitely related. If we don't have this fondness, this feeling of nostalgia over it because it wasn't something that was beaten, to a pulp. It was a one thing. Here it was, there it was, and it was special, and we let it be.
I mean, that's fair, but Land Before Time still has that kind of special nostalgia to us, and there's
Damn,
like
you're right.
11 sequels to that. Yeah.
Damn, you're totally right. Yeah, okay,
Toy
all right, well,
Story,
screw that
yeah.
thought then. Fuck you, Derek.
No, it is one of those things where you're going to get sequels if something's really good, and it's hard to fathom why something didn't get sequels unless it just didn't do well. And it maybe just came at 99. I mean, I think about the movies that came out in 99 that you were obsessed with. Do you remember any of them?
The Matrix.
Yeah, The Matrix came out.
When did The Matrix come out? Was that 99?
It was 99 or 98.
It was 98 or 99.
It would have been around the same time. So it's just, you have The Matrix, you have The Mummy, which we've covered on this show before.
Love The Mummy. Love it.
Yeah. So it could have been just Marketplace, and when this, because Andrew, you probably have the date that this movie was released. Can you look up the date it was released and see what it was going up against in theaters? Because
August 3rd of 1999. Let's look.
That's prime blockbuster time too, in August.
Let's look at summer of 1999 movie releases. Give me one moment here. There's going to be a number of them. Come on. Domestic box office for summer of 99. Star Wars Phantom Menace was May. Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, The Sixth Sense, Tarzan, Big Daddy, The Mummy, Wild Wild West, Inspector Gadget.
Oh, wow. Now, Inspector Gadget was the big thing at that time. Remember, McDonald's was doing...
It was, and I remember...
toys.
Chase, that's one that we should maybe pull out here. I don't know.
Derek, you have to come back for
months,
Inspector Gadget. That's
honestly. Matrix, Eyes Wide Shut.
I still have the Inspector Gadget fully built McDonald's toy.
Of course you do.
Fully built, man. Of course I do. You're damn right I do, son.
I don't want to ask why you kept that, but sure.
Don't ask questions you don't want answers to, son.
Is that what your son's gonna inherit?
Jesus. Ezra, I have left you this, my firstborn, my fully built McDonald's action figure of Inspector Gadget.
You're not on my life insurance policy.
Mint condition. I know I haven't left you money, a reputation to be proud of, or anything. But here is my fully built Inspector Gadget.
How much did you pay for that fully built Inspector Gadget? What's the
zero? You better bet my mom and dad were paying for all them Happy Meals.
There you go. So you're giving him something of
can't
real
say
worth
they
there.
didn't give me nothing, huh?
Nothing at all. You can't. I mean, do you put it in a case? Is it in a case? Do you yell at your wife if she bumps into that case too late at night?
No, but I will now.
Good.
Cynthia, if you're listening, I'm so fucking sorry.
I think she'd have a good sense of humor about it, Chase. You don't have to apologize.
Yeah.
Don't lower yourself,
The Inspector Gadget is at my parents' house in a box somewhere in the attic. I'm certain of this, actually. But one day I'll break it out and tell my kid all about how many Happy Meals I had to eat to get it. And that's a great story.
That might be my favorite Matthew Broderick film, now that I think about it.
Really? That's your favorite Matthew Broderick film? We should compare it to Godzilla.
No, full circle right here. My favorite Matthew Broderick is Godzilla.
Well, you're putting that out there for a reason. I appreciate that, but I echo Chase's sentiments there.
I'm fucking with you.
What he's trying to say, everybody, is that Derek does listen to the show, and that's his favorite episode. I'm going to say it
he's making shameless plugs for us.
Everybody knows that that's the greatest movie ever made.
What's more shameless, him doing plugs for us, or us having two sponsors for like a call-in?
Erectile dysfunction and golf clubs,
which go hand in hand.
Greatest film ever made.
Oh
Jesus.
My God!
So I want to circle back to these numbers real quickly.
You said Eyes Wide Shut too in 1990.
Eyes Wide Shut was above Iron Giant by like 11 spots. Yeah, there was a ton. Nothing that's like that was the crown, work of cinema over the course of the decade. But a bunch of big names, and I don't like to make a theater comparison, but y'all are familiar with the musical Hamilton, right? Like everyone knows Hamilton. It's arguably the most popular musical created.
What is
in the
Hamilton?
past.
I've never heard of it. What is this?
Alexander Hamilton, he was the first Treasury Secretary of the United States. He is on the $10 bill. Is that correct?
And they
$10
made
bill?
there's a musical about him.
Yes, and it's
So,
not really
You're
a
talking about a
musical.
historically accurate piece that really dives into the gritty American
Yes.
patriotic history.
It's really about like the time he got syphilis.
That is touched upon, and the affair that he had with his sister-in-law.
That's how he got the syphilis.
Yeah, I think so.
Real American stories.
Why do you think
All
it's so
jokes aside-
popular? Why do you think people love it so much? Everybody wants to see a man get syphilis.
I mean, if you've yes, your jokes are funny, but my point is, if you've seen it, like you understand what the.
Actually, I know of Hamilton, and I absolutely love it.
I know you do.
I'm a big musical theater fan, and Hamilton's music is great.
It's a work of art. Like it is, It's one of a kind. Like it's the first, not the first, but one of the biggest mainstream musicals to really incorporate hip hop and R&B as like the main genre, while being true to a real American history story, as you alluded to. But that year, there were a couple other musicals. I lived in New York at the time, so I saw a lot of them. There was one in particular that I absolutely adore. It's called Bright Star. It's kind of like country bluegrass music written by the great Steve Martin. Steve Martin literally wrote that musical from scratch. It was his creation. Hamilton, won everything, and no one ever talked about Bright Star. Like, no one ever talked about it. But
I'm not gonna lie, I've heard next to nothing about Bright Star.
Dude, Bright Star is phenomenal. I'm not even a big musical guy. It's a beautiful, beautiful show with wonderful music, but no one talks about it. It just got lost in the shuffle. It just got dwarfed. And we were talking about all those movies of that summer. I can't help but think that's kind of what happened to Little Iron Giant here. It just got lost in the shuffle and kind of forgotten about. But when you come back to visit it, you're like, oh, okay, what happened here? Oh, how did I not think about this? Or how did I not know? I'm not saying that we are that, but there are many that I think have come back to it because it was forgotten or because they didn't get a chance to see it. And that's why, I don't know, we hear about it so much today. So just a thought. I think there might be something to it.
That's a fair point, and I'm glad you looked all that up because it did put into perspective of how many really solid movies came out. I mean, think about Tarzan and just the marketing budget Disney had versus what Warner Brothers probably put into the Iron Giant. With a $70 million budget, you're not marketing this movie to the length, and Disney's going to go an extra mile with their marketing because that's just what Disney does. And with Phil Collins soundtrack, all of that, like Tarzan probably ate up a lot of the animated crowd at that time.
For sure did, and worthwhile because Tarzan isn't some slop fest. Like,
no,
it is
a good movie.
No,
we don't know. We don't know if it stands up.
Yeah, have you done?
No, we haven't. Not yet. We have not. Yeah,
could be Derek's.
We haven't done a lot of Disney, have we, Chase?
We've done quite a few, but not. We haven't gotten into the weeds with Disney. I guess I'll say that.
We've done like 2 or 3. I don't think we've done that many, right?
We've done more live action Disney
right.
movies. We've done Blank Check.
Fuck,
that is Disney shit.
Fuck yeah.
So are we ready to break this?
And for everything else, there's Blue Chew.
Or Tailor Made.
For the times that you needed something else, Blue Chew.
And if Blue Chew doesn't work, turn to golf. Drown your miseries on the fairway.
Just become a golfer. Just get into golf.
Sad part is both go hand in hand. So don't worry. Blue Chew will deliver directly to your door discreetly so your neighbors don't know that you have an issue. Tailor Made won't do that.
Nope.
But anyway, moving on. Let's do the breakdown. Let's talk about
I'm confused. Are they actually supporting you guys or no?
No.
Yes, 100%. Chase, don't be bashful. He's being bashful. He's ashamed to admit that we have Blue Chew as a sponsor. It's real.
Blue Chew, give us money. That's what I'll say. Blue Chew, give us money. We've been hawking your shit for a while now, and we haven't received our first check.
Listen, been peddling your shit for a long time.
We haven't even received our first complimentary box.
One more week of no money in our pocket, Blue Chew, and we're going to Hims. That's gonna.
And you know what? We should go to Hims, and then we should start running an anti-Blue Chew ad.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Hims.
You know
call
what?
us.
We could.
Hey, real quickly, I brought this up earlier. I brought up Norm Macdonald. Was that before we got on? Yeah, that was before we got on.
Yeah,
actually recorded. But there was a sponsor that Norm Macdonald had that pulled their ads because he kept making fun of them. It was called the Man Grates, and it was literally like these giant grates that you put on your grill, and it like crisps up your chicken and your meats a whole lot more. And he just thought it was fucking stupid. And
it is the dumbest thing I've heard of.
It honestly is. Like, go look up Norm Macdonald Man Grates on YouTube, and you will
I will say that's not the best name.
Man Grate.
It's not. There was an episode that he had with.
Wait, why didn't they just call it the Grill Grate? Why did you have to go Man Grate?
Because they were trying to market it to dads and shit. They wanted it to be manly. Sorry, go ahead.
He should have been man grateful for the opportunity. Instead, he had to be really mun grateful about it all and make such bad jokes.
Jeez.
No, but when you get a moment after this call or sometime, just go watch that compilation. It's worth your time, I promise. But moving on.
So
sorry, Chase.
This Iron Giant breakdown brought to you by Man Grate. Derek, where does this movie start and how does it begin?
Whoa, we're only now getting to that.
Yeah, we flushed the bowl multiple times before we put a turd in.
I'm out of things to say, thankfully. Okay, so the story starts with us in outer space, and we see a Russian satellite. This is Sputnik, wisping by, and shortly after seeing our Sputnik run by, which, you know, as an American audience, you're thinking, this is the enemy here, Sputnik, the thing to be feared, the satellite, and then we have something even more terrifying come hurtling towards the Earth, what appears to be, at first glance, just a meteor. But then it lands into the ocean amidst a stormy hurricane, and we're in the open sea,
somewhere off the coast of Maine.
Somewhere off the coast of Maine. Thank you, Andrew. And it does. It says it in there. Subtitled on an animation film. That's actually great. And it set the tone. We quickly realized that there is this thing that is dangerous that has landed here.
Very, very dark, and then we see
it treated us, and this is what I was hinting at earlier. It treated us like adults. We were not being shown the flowers and candy and sweet things and funny quirks and gags and whatevers. We were shown something menacing and horrifying and real.
It goes to show it is like taking a lot of like lore from Godzilla. Because of how Godzilla is presented, and especially in the later like movies, presented as this huge threat, and he turns out to be a hero kind of thing. So we're kind of like getting a little bit of that.
But this is the thing. But he's still dangerous.
Right. Exactly. And
yeah,
because Godzilla is still going to destroy half the city trying to save it. So it's kind of that same kind of double-edged sword. It's like what danger do we see? And everything can cause some bit of danger, but. We see a shipping boat captain or like some fisherman who's in the middle of this. I guess you said it earlier, Derek. It's like a hurricane kind of. I mean, it's definitely like very dicey weather.
They show the hurricane from the opening animations swirling around in the ocean.
What I didn't like is it was just a single man on this boat too. There was no like crew or anything.
But he's also shown very quickly after to be a kook. So I kind of get, you're kind of just like. This dude's a kooky dude. He was out there.
Voiced by the same guy that was in Christmas with the Cranks, Andrew. So.
Wow.
Oh, my favorite. Also, this is the 1950s. People did weird shit back then. So
it was 1957. He couldn't afford a crew.
Exactly.
So, and I got to point this out, too. So we talked a little bit. So, Derek, me and Andrew did We're Back last week. I don't know if you remember that movie. We don't have time to go into it, but...
It's not.
So in some of these movies, especially animated movies, they lose that sense of scale quite frequently. I don't know if you noticed that. So,
I noticed that at times where the giant was bigger points than before, or I thought personally nothing felt egregious.
I think this first part feels pretty egregious because
Okay.
when
Yeah.
you're going with the shipping boat, right? And this happens in Godzilla too, where the scale goes off. And it's not like something that's crazy or something that ruins the movie, but we're introduced to the giant. So as the boat is going through these choppy waters, he hits the Iron Giant, and it's our first visual. It's a sweeping visual of him, and he's standing up in the ocean. And that's when I was like, holy shit, this thing's huge. Because, I mean, to stand up in the ocean, how big you'd have to be depending on, I guess, what point in the ocean you are, but like rather large. And then I'll just go ahead and say it. And there's a point in the movie where we get to, and he does a full cannonball into a lake, a small lake, and it causes, and he's submerged in the lake. So that was one thing I picked up, and I didn't know if you would pick up on something like that.
Yeah, I don't know that I noticed it at that point.
Okay, great. I'm just a loser. So anyway, he runs into the Iron Giant. What happens next?
But I do
Andrew?
know, Chase, I do know that you have a issue with size, and for all those moments that you have issue with size, there is Blue Chew,
Hymns.
and Blue Chew can solve
Hymns until
whenever
we get hymns until we get that money.
Okay,
Chase,
all right.
I was gonna say I noticed it, but it didn't bother me because it was for dramatic effect. Yeah, logically speaking and continuity, it it's not perfect.
It didn't bother me because that's I think at the rest of the movie they keep it pretty consistent on his like size.
There is one thing that it didn't make a lot of sense to me, but didn't have to do with his size. We'll talk about it as we get further into it. But it didn't bother me. It was just dramatic effect to show, that this alien robot was
huge.
daunting and huge and powerful, and it has landed on Earth. And you should be scared. That's what they were going for, and it did the trick.
Right.
So,
and then what happens next, Andrew, after we get that opening scene?
Old fisherman crashes, falls into the water. I thought he was going to drown or going to get
Honestly,
saved.
I thought he was going to drown. I didn't remember the opening at all.
But he somehow gets washed upon the shore near the lighthouse, and he's fine. But then I think, we open up a new day in Maine. Is it Rockwood, Maine? Is that the name of their little township, if you will?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, they're the diner, a classic 1950s diner. We get introduced to our main character, Hogarth. What a great name. Hogarth.
Do we know if that's a reference to something? Because that name is so standoutish that it had to be
my
something.
wife, who watched the film with me, even commented on that exact same thing. It's a very unique name, Hogarth.
But I couldn't find anything. I did find, however, that his last name is Hughes. It's Hogarth Hughes, right? So the last name Hughes is based on the author of the book Iron Giant, which this movie, or the novel, I guess, that this movie is based on. So they put the author's name in there just as a last name, but that's about all I could find with Hogarth.
Okay, I want to share this real quickly because I think it needs to be discussed. I was just trying to find anything on Hogarth, but according to Wikipedia, this film was initially conceived in '94 as a musical with the involvement of The Who's Pete Townsend, but it was scrapped when they signed Bird on as the director in '96. That's fucking random. That's
it was going to be a musical. Let me
Probably
think
for
of
the best. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I'm glad that I love musicals, guys. I'm a big fan. I think I'm happy that this is not a musical.
Yeah, I don't think. Well, the tone would be a lot different.
It would be
from start to finish.
Yeah. Could you see something? Well, man, what many stories are worthy of being told by song, which is why musicals do have a place.
1950s, Russia, Cuban Missile, Cold War era. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think they made the right choice. But
it would probably have like a West Side Story feel, and it probably would like fall completely on its face.
West Side Story meets a bit of of a Herculean feel. I could see, like this wanting to rise up. You have this kid, like
With
think
MASH.
of, think of the quintessential themes that are at play with this film, and and like how do those themes want to evoke you to song, to sing, and that is really what like is the what I think makes any musical that's a great musical great is that there are certain things that we feel as people that just move us to want to sing about it. And so it's like, are the themes that are at play within this piece here things that are like, are they things that really would want to move you to song? And obviously they
No.
would have moved someone to song if they were posing. I would be interested at trying to find if it even exists anywhere, any of their original music, because I guarantee in order to even pitch this project, they've got to have some songs. Like they have to have something. They're not going in blind saying we'll figure the songs out later. Maybe they are. I don't know. Different time. But
All I can say is I'm glad we didn't see a Iron Giant soft shoe number. That's all I'm gonna say.
You didn't want Vin
So-
Diesel to start singing for everybody in the Iron Giant voice?
oh my God! And
God.
that's another thing I totally forgot is that he was the voice.
And
This is a great cast.
just like
You had Vin Diesel as the robot. You had Jennifer Aniston as the mother. You had Harry Connick Jr. as is his name Dean? Is that who it is? Is that his name?
The cool guy. Yeah, the cool guy.
Yeah, the artist. And then you had what's his name? Christopher McDonald's as
Shooter
the government
McGavin.
guy, Angela.
Shooter McGavin,
Yes.
everybody.
Yeah, he plays the '90s villain pretty damn well in more lighthearted movies.
Speaking
But-
of the mother and Jennifer Aniston, I think that's who we're introduced to next, right at the cafe.
Yes. Yeah. Hogarth walks in. He's got a shoebox. We clearly get the notion that his mother runs the diner essentially, or she's a waiter at the diner. We see that Hogarth has a shoebox. It's got some sort of wild animal in it that he wants to bring in. His mom's like, "Oh no, not again, Hogarth, not again." He's like, "Oh, but please, please." So we get the idea and the notion that Hogarth is a
He's kind of
curious kid.
He's kind of that
He's a curious
typical
kid.
50s, 80s kid who watches a bunch
He
of
is.
monster movies and like is constantly into something at all times.
So
Like,
this is the-
Chase.
yeah, basically.
yeah. But this
Yeah,
is what I
Brown.
think is really important that it sets in from a storytelling point of view for us when we are introduced to him at the diner. We see that he's a curious kid. That's important. That reels us in the first place, and they pull it in with a lovely gag with the squirrel. It ends up being a squirrel inside this box, and his mom's like, "No, you're not going to do that because every time you bring an animal to the house, they get out." And he convinces his mom, "Finally, let me just show you this thing first before you tell me no." And lo and behold, the thing's escaped already.
Right.
Yep.
And then we get
And,
we get this important point too is what she's trying to make is it scares off the people trying to rent the house because they're trying to rent a room in their house to help ends
But-
meet.
Yes, but what I was going to say about character that it helps us establish that he's this curious kid. He is a guy who's willing to befriend the outsider, to befriend the person who's not normal.
Yeah.
And even Dean has something to say about it too, which is why he connects with Dean so much. Dean says somebody's got to stand up for the kooks. If not us, who will? Or stand up for the kooks, not stand up to the kooks. Stand up for the kooks. And so which is interesting because Dean kind of comes in as this voice of wisdom there, and he makes Dean put his money where his mouth is later on. But essentially, we have a kid here though who is looking for like a sense of belonging in a way. He's an outsider and he's finding companionship in these other outsiders. And I think that's an important thing about character that's sort of seated at this
Yeah.
diner scene.
Yeah, and Dean stands up for him because Dean covers for the squirrel that's running around the cafe.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah, it is
laughing
funny.
out loud. It's hilarious. That
what
scene is hilarious.
happens, Derek? How do you describe it?
Well, let's just say there was a little bit of shenanigans going on with the squirrel, but the squirrel is loose. The squirrel is loose inside the diner, and he's like, "I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you this animal, Mom." And she's like, "Okay, cool." And he looks at the box; it's gone, and he pops back up and he says, "Let me go out and get him." And he sneaks away and he's looking for the squirrel, and he finally sees that it runs up to this stranger who happens to be Dean, the guy that we've already been talking about. And he wakes the stranger up because he's sleeping at the booth. And he says, "Hey, don't freak out because, my mom's here and everything, but my animal's down here. Don't look because I don't want you to freak out, but don't move because I need to get him. And then the mom comes over to say, hey, stop pestering this guest, this guy who's at, this patron. And all of a sudden, Dean gets this horrified look on his face. And the mom he has a small interaction with the mom. It's very awkward for a second. You're like, what the heck is going on? And then as he goes away, he's like, kid, listen, your squirrel has gone up my pants. He doesn't say it. He doesn't say it like that. But that's essentially what's happening.
He doesn't have him. He doesn't blow his cover.
No, he doesn't blow the kid's cover, and he made it a point. He made it a point. But he stands up and he says to the entire diner, he says, "Forgive me in advance for this." And he unzips his pants, and the squirrel jumps out of his pants and runs around, and everybody in the diner clears out of the place.
Yeah, and that creates more of a mess than anything at that point.
And his mom instantly knows too. That's one way to relieve yourself of that situation, is just to drop trowel and let the squirrel run everywhere.
Wild animal loose. Derek, you had mentioned Dean saying, someone's got to stand up for the kooks. Why did he say that? What was that in reference to? Because it is
it just so happens while they are there, the fisherman who survived that tragic night is there with his buddies telling them all about it, and none of them believe him. He's like, no, I saw this this giant robot in the water. And he's like, and I can't recall if he was saying or torn about whether it was Russian or whether it was a Martian, or maybe that was what he was saying the whole time. He's like, it could be this, it could be that. But they all thought he was Kooky. And Dean leans over with the kid there, obviously, because he's come to get a squirrel at that point. But they've overheard this conversation happening about, is it Sputnik? Is it a Martian? And Dean leans over and he tells all the buddies who are razzing this kooky shit guy who, like, literally nearly drowned at the beginning of the movie. And he says, hey, I saw him too. And then the guys make a jab at him. They say, well, I rest my case, and write him off. And so, Dean didn't win anything by saying that. And the kid notices that. And he says, somebody's got to stand up for these guys. And I think that's an important thing, is like standing up for that outsider.
Yes. And it gives the kid a reason to like kind of look up to somebody, because we see now that Dean is labeled himself as an outsider. So he feels one with the fisherman. And then the kid, who also feels like an outsider, has a sense of purpose now, is to like, hey, it's okay that I am that way. So after the fact here, we're moving on from the diner. What happens next, Eric, after we leave the diner?
So after we leave the diner, we are off to, the kid hops on his bicycle, he leaves. And actually, what happens directly after that, guys?
He goes home, and I believe Hogarth goes home. His mom calls him and says, I'm going to be working late. You got some chicken and rice in the fridge or something.
That's right.
She tells him not to
bed
watch. Yeah, she says not to
go to bed by 8.
Not to watch any of those monster movies that he's been watching.
Correct. And he's watching some like night show. I forgot the name of it, but I think it was like an actual night show host, like an actual name. We can come back to that if need be. But
it's based off like the Elvira and the Monster Vision, like the horror TV show host, and they're hosting like a movie and talking about it. So that's kind of like what they're going for there.
Yeah. Thank you for putting me in my place.
No, you were right.
I know, but there was I was focusing on the wrong subject there, the wrong idea. But he's watching this scary movie. He built himself a little fort. It looks like in his living room. He's eating. It looks like bread filled with like Ready Whip.
No, I think he took a Twinkie and he shoved a thing of whipped cream in it and filled it up even more.
Yep,
that's it. That's what it is.
He did it with like a gun, like a little Nerf gun somehow. Like he had a Nerf gun that he had like whipped cream in somehow, and
I thought it was. It read to me as just whipped cream, and I'm like, I don't even like Twinkies, but I'm like, damn, I don't know, I'm kind of feeling that right now.
You're just becoming a dad. Dads love Twinkies.
It's changed my mind. I want the cream-filled stuff. Give me more of that.
but he's watching this, and the feed starts to go out. The TVs weren't an essential item at that point, but they did exist. They did have them, and service was probably shaky. The feed goes out, and he's like, "Ah, darn antenna!" And he walks outside. He gets up on the roof. He literally crawls out of like his bedroom up onto the roof to check the antenna, and he finds that it's gone, like it's been ripped off.
This isn't his first rodeo with that antenna. This is like a once every other day kind of thing.
He's been up there, but 8, 9-year-old just casually getting up on the roof to inspect things is, I don't know. It's the 50s. They probably did it all the time. But when he's up there and he sees that the antenna's been broken off, it's not there, he notices that there's like large footprints in like the field behind his house, and like broken fence and more footprints, and he sees broken trees, like tall trees. These are like large like conifers and like pine trees. They're like completely broken. It seems that something has like walked through this path, and so he's intrigued, and he thinks, man,
Dramatic irony for us, we have a very clear idea of what it might be.
We do. We know. we know very good and well what happens. So what does he do next? He gets on his army boots. He gets on his soldier hat. It's not really a hat. Helmet.
It's from his dad.
His BB gun.
It's his dad's pilot helmet, which is not mentioned enough. It's kind of mentioned in passing.
Wait. I said sure as a joke. I thought you were making like an absent father
joke there. No,
I didn't even know that.
No, later in the movie, when he puts it back on, which we'll get to that scene later, he puts it back on. There's a picture of his dad next to his nightstand, and his dad's wearing the same helmet. Yeah, and I was trying to figure out. I was trying to figure out the timeline. Like, was his dad a World War II pilot that passed away? Like, what happened, but they do not mention anything else.
Let's think. How old is he? He's probably 10 or 11.
And this was in 57, so it
would have been in 47.
Yeah, it would have to be Korea, but I don't even think Korea started till 48.
No, Korea was 50. Okay. 50, 53. So
unless well, no, because I'm thinking of his age. Unless his dad. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It'd have to be Korea. Would be the only way. If his dad passed away, now his dad could have just left, and we don't. I mean, they don't say anything.
It also could have just been Coast Guard guys. They do things too.
So he gets on the roof and he kind of sees he sees like a bunch of generators in the distance, and
he goes into the woods. Like he straps his flashlight to his BB gun. He is going exploring, and he's I don't know how long he's wandering through the woods, but then he stumbles upon some giant like power plants.
Those power plants. I mean, you think about the time. I don't want to derail this too much. He's a kid. He's coming upon this big giant, factory of electricity. You know what I mean? It's like this giant. It looks like not necessarily a power plant, but what do they call those places? You know what I'm talking about? Where is it just I don't know. What do they call it? We get all of our electricity. It runs to these giant areas with a bunch of transformers and shit. Either way,
that's a power plant to me. Like I don't know what else you would call it. I'm sure there's probably
a power. I think it's a power substation, is what it is.
There you go. Yes. And like as a kid who's into sci-fi, into horror, like, whoa, what a wonder. And he looks at it that way. It's like this giant glowing thing to him. And he's mesmerized for it for a second until.
Yeah, I want to add to that, Derek. I mean, because you're making a good point, because it goes all the way back to Frankenstein. Electricity creates the monsters. But continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere comes
the giant.
The giants.
And the kid sees him for the first time as he goes up to the power plant. And we're not entirely sure what he's doing, but he grabs a piece of the power plant. Is he going to destroy it? Boom. He grabs it. He yanks it out of place. It's looking like he's going to destroy it. And then what's he do? He starts to eat it. He starts to eat it. And that's an interesting thing that our kid, our hero, notices.
Yeah, and it's a giant metal monster that has to eat metal for nourishment.
For sustenance.
Yeah.
But something happened. And he gets tangled up inside the electric wires. and he starts to hurt. And our kid notices that he's in pain after getting tied up in these wires. And the kid starts to think, what should I do? Do I run away from this? This is a horrifying thing to experience, this giant beast. This might be a Martian, it might be the Russians. Who is it? And then his sort of senses get the better of him. His and he, or should I say, they fail him because he runs into danger, and he goes to save this giant creature, this giant thing that he knows nothing about, by getting to the switch they have on the plant, this ginormous on-off switch, basically.
Yeah, that no 10-year-old would be able to pull down. But anyway,
Yeah, but he's gonna get
This
it. By
thing's-
golly,
He is. He uses all of his might. He grabs the bar, pulls it down, almost doesn't make it happen, but he turns it off, and in the process he powers down the substation, powers down his little village or township, the hills below, and saves the giant all in one.
but he thinks he's dead at first.
Yes.
The giant falls down. His eyes are off, and he's just this giant pile of metal. And the kid, is like, "What just happened?" One, and then two, what is this thing? And he goes up to explore, and that's when, we think maybe the beast is, maybe this giant is dead. But his eyes start to glow again. It terrifies the kid. And what happens after that?
He is scared at first once the giant wakes up and he runs away. And
Yeah.
it's just convenient that his mother is driving down the road trying to find her son who, is missing.
yeah, because we
And
forgot to mention
right.
too, as he's out in the woods doing all this, his mom has come home and she's looking for him, and she searches throughout the house and he's nowhere to be found. So she starts panicking, and she grabs and gets in her car and drives off into the woods.
That's right. Yeah.
And
naturally,
ends up finding him, and like the giant, I think, just walked away into the woods, so the mother doesn't see him when she finds
he
Hogarth.
hides again. He's always elusive in these situations.
Yeah,
so.
to be as big as he is, to be able to stand at the bottom of the ocean, he still can hide in Maine really easily, especially coastal Maine. But the mom takes Hogarth back, and she's upset, but also sees that he's kind of upset, so she changes her tone once they.
But
once
he keeps ranting and raving about this giant iron physical phenomenon.
And she's like, "I told you not to watch
robot.
those movies so late." Like,
And she doesn't want to hear it. She's like, enough of this bullshit. Let's
go
Come
home
on.
and go to bed. Yeah, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then what happens next, Derek? After that night.
So honestly, man, I just watched this last night, by the way.
We're old. It's okay.
It's fine.
Yeah.
You have it. I mean, you're a dad too, so this is one of those things. Your memory goes out the window.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember exactly what specifically happens.
It's
after they-
and we can.
after they've been
I mean,
home.
there's a lot of wonder and a lot of like visual stuff in this movie, so we can kind of skip through. But eventually, he goes back out into the woods to find the giant, right, Andrew? Like eventually, like, yeah.
He
Here it
grabs
is.
a little sheet of metal and places up against a stump. He grabs his camera that he conveniently has in 1957 to hopefully catch him in the act, and he falls asleep. And then when he wakes up, he sees that the sheet of metal has been moved. It's been taken. And I think this was when the giant just like randomly appears up behind him. And this is when he's scared, but then kind of slowly understands that this thing's not harmless. It's not there to hurt him. And he starts talking to it and asking it questions. And, eventually they come to like an understanding of each other. And this is when the, relationship starts to form.
This
Yeah.
is when they talk about a rock, like what a rock is, and
Yes.
and then the Iron Giant repeats rock, and then he pulls up a tree, and he's like rock, and he's like, no, that's a tree. That's a tree. That's a rock. That's a tree. And he's teaching him there, and their friendship is growing.
Yeah,
Yes.
and the giant at first is starting to just repeat what the kid says. He's kind of mimicking the words, but then eventually you can kind of see his like everything kind of spiral in him like learning the words itself. So he like over time learns to communicate with the kid. He can't say a whole lot, and in fact, he only has 53 words of dialogue if you take out all the screaming.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And it's about that time in the film where I think the antagonist is introduced, if I recall, where the FBI agent, or maybe not FBI exactly. I can't
He
remember what.
doesn't. He never says. He just says he works for the government.
he says he's a
He,
special
he
agent for the
has a
government.
badge though. What did the
He
badge
does.
say?
He worked for Department of Unexplained Phenomenon. That's what he
Okay.
said, but he
Yeah.
never said FBI. He never,
Yeah.
it's not
The
CIA.
UEP. Am I right, guys?
But
Yeah.
but he's arrived because of reports of something having landed there.
Yeah.
Right. And
Near
he's
it.
he's investigating in the area. And he's at the diner, and that's how he kind of gets first word, or he kind of like.
Well, the first thing that kind of set them off, there were people that were reporting, half-eaten cars and things like that. But there was a massive train wreck that was caused because of the Iron Giants that really set things off when they were making their way back out of the woods.
That's right.
He eats metal, and he was inspecting the train tracks, and he started to pull them up to eat them. And Hogarth was like, "No, no, you gotta put him down. You gotta put him down." He didn't understand what the hell he was saying.
What
But
a great
eventually, the
scene,
Giants.
too.
Yes, it was a great scene. Eventually, the Giant caught on, and he laid it down, pressed it down. He was taking his time to finally line up those tracks.
He was trying to do it perfectly.
Perfectly, because it shows that the Giant has care and a heart,
Right,
and doesn't want harm.
No, exactly,
but right as he had clicked that connector back in, there's a train coming that collides with him, and again, it's like, what? The conductor is like, what the hell did I just see? And this is when we really get the introduction, I believe, of
yeah, and
you're right.
And him and the kid run. The kid like
runs. He runs.
Yeah,
for it,
and he runs off with the kid, and the kid's like going to try to hide him, and I think that's when we get the kid's trying to hide him back in the barn at his house. So he finds an empty barn that his mom just apparently never goes in.
And he shows him comic books and Superman specifically. That's important because we'll come back to it. But he shows him Superman. But yeah, this is what brings on Mansley. He's initially skeptical, but then like after having his car literally half eaten and then completely taken, now he's like, all right, this is real. Something's happening. This is a national threat. So we gotta get a move on.
And I can't remember which car it was, but Andrew, do you know A113?
No.
The Pixar.
I would, but I don't. No. What? Tell me. Enlighten me.
So A113, it was on the license plate. Derek, are you familiar?
Oh,
I'm not aware of that.
I think I know where you're going with this.
So
go on.
It is what was it? Art Institute in San Diego. It was the classroom number where a lot of Pixar animators came out of. And so in a lot of the Pixar movies, they'll put somewhere it's in, I think, every Pixar movie, there's A113 somewhere. In Toy Story, it was the pizza van on its license plate.
Wow.
Yeah, it's everywhere. You just have to look it up to see all the references. But they put a reference in this movie, and it's a Warner Brothers movie.
Wow. I do want to point out too, around this time, he's shown him this superhero comic. He's teaching the Iron Giant things, and I think they hint at the bigger underlying themes of this whole film, where like you have these outsiders, but what does the kid say to the Giant? He's like, you're who you choose to be. You are who you choose to be.
Right.
That was,
and he was
showing
him Superman.
Dean's wisdom. Yeah, but yes, yeah.
And what's awesome about that is that it's like everybody from the outside is going to tell you that you're this thing, that you're that thing, that you're one thing or another, and that it's up to you to choose who to be. It's not on what other people are going to label you as.
Yeah. So I want to tie that in because, obviously, that Giant living in the barn is not ideal for unwanted attention. So he takes him to the scrapyard that Dean owns. He owns the scrapyard. It's a good spot because he can eat the scrap metal that's there and keep himself sustained. But of course, you got to convince Dean, who has no idea that this iron giant robot alien creature exists. But Dean and
Well, I want to add.
Hogarth.
I want to add to this, Andrew, is because one of the reasons he took him away from the barn is because Mansley started snooping around.
Yes,
his
he
place.
did. He moved in to the vacant room,
Right,
in the house.
And I can't remember why, but he had his sights on Hogarth because Hogarth was mentioning the robot to some people or something at one point.
He found his BB gun
at the right, and it had his name on it.
The substation, yes. And so he's a suspect. But anyways,
gotcha. I almost
he takes him to the
forgot all about
scrapyard. Yeah, he takes him to the scrapyard, convinces Dean to eventually allow him to stay there. Dean's like, what the hell? Is this real? But Dean and Hogarth form a bond over a lot of espresso shots at night. And this is when Dean is the one who tells Hogarth, be who you want to be, dude. Because he's talking about how he gets bullied in school. And Dean's like, I don't want to tell you how to live your life, but like, who gives a shit, man? Who cares? Be you.
Right.
Don't be afraid to be you. Live the life you want to.
And Dean is a sculptor too.
He's an artist.
Yeah. So he's kind of
think of it.
He
embodies. In one way he embodies that sentiment by he says,
100%.
well, I take this in very, very simple terms. I take this thing you call junk and I make it art, and I show it to be art. So it's like he's embodying what he's believing there, but he's also forced to question it when the kid brings the giant to his own junkyard.
Yeah. There really isn't much more that happens.
I mean,
Dean breeze by it, but
Dean and the kid and the giant form a bond.
They form a friendship. Yeah.
Yeah. There's there's that scene I was talking about where the kids like swimming in the lake and the giant jumps in the lake to do a cannonball to mimic the kid.
They're having a swell time, but underneath all of that is where Mansley is sort of losing his mind. This guy is hell bent
going crazy
on finding the giant, and
he eventually finds that developed photo that Hogarth took in the woods with the giants behind him, and it's clear evidence
by total accident, only because he's constantly snooping and looking, sure, but he just happens upon the camera.
Yeah,
and it was no grand kind of clue or machination of his. He just sort of
a funny scene too that we kind of skipped over, but it doesn't really have much relevance other than I thought it was really funny is Mansley's trying to get the truth out of Hogarth the whole entire time. At first he tries to be really nice about it, which I kind of like that standpoint they took with him. Instead of just him being evil or mean the whole time, he tries to do the good cop, bad cop. So he buys him like ice cream at the diner.
Oh, yeah, and he puts
this is so funny.
And Hogarth puts the X-Lax in it. A lot of it. And so you get this compilation of scenes coming up where it's just kind of showing Mansley talking to everyone around town with either bitten in half cars or whatever, and he has to shit like in the middle of these conversations.
He's got to leave because his stomach is so upset. There was another funny moment. This was the moment when they're at the lake and the giant jumps in and pretty much kind of creates like a tsunami, like a mini tsunami with this lake.
All the water out of the lake leaves. Like it's
And Dean's sitting there like on his little like beach chair reading the newspaper, and he gets pushed back like hundreds of yards. Like he is riding the wave all the way out to the street, just like a country road, and he's just sitting there dripping wet, just kind of like, I can't believe this just happened. And this car drives up behind him, and mind
country logger guy.
Yeah,
he's like, you're in the middle of the road.
And Dean's like, yeah.
And he goes, fair enough.
Like, all right.
I laughed really hard at that. Like I cackled. I was like,
because it was the most country thing, and I was like, yep, that's bad. Because I'm from Alabama, you two are from Kentucky. It is something we would have grown up with in like our like I grew up in a really small town. That's exactly what happens. Like, all right, then you want to be weird out here by yourself? You go for it.
It was just Dean's like deadpan reaction. Like, yeah, what do you want me to do about it?
Yeah.
I'm
You know
here.
what's interesting about his character at this point in time too for the film, he is not fully sold that this. He recognizes the danger that this robot actually can't be. I think he senses that. He's like, look, we might be having fun with this thing, but he's not fully bought and sold that the thing is just all good.
Yes.
He's there's some trepidation because
Yeah.
shortly after this, we have that scene in the woods. She might have happened a little bit beforehand, but the scene in the woods where we discovered the dead deer.
So yeah, and I wanted to really pinpoint that part
It's
because
important.
yeah. So so Hogarth and the giant discover this deer, and it's majestic and it's running around the forest, and they kind of follow it, and they hear a gunshot, and then the giant walks over and sees two hunters, and they're just hunting, and they killed the deer, and he scares them enough that they run away, and he looks down and kind of pinpoints the gun as the issue, and this beautiful deer that he saw is now dead because of this weapon. I wanted to bring this up because I think this is a good point to tell you the inspiration from this movie is director Bird's sister was shot and killed by
Oof.
her husband.
Oh
Um,
my!
so
Damn, that's heavy.
yes, so he wanted to make a movie about anti-gun violence.
Oh.
And he wrote this, and we're gonna dive a little bit further into this as this movie goes, but he wrote this as what if a gun realized it was deadly. And
Whoa.
yeah, that's kind of the theme here. And it took us a while to get, I mean, we're about 50 minutes into an hour and a half before we get to this scene. So it is deeper into the movie where we finally realize the premise and what we're laying to work here.
This is the
Wow.
point where things are going too smoothly and it's too happy that you know that something heavier is going to happen. And
Right. And,
Oh, yeah.
and Mansley's a bumbling idiot, so we don't feel like he's like a full threat, and it's kind of and like he's kind of chasing his own tail trying to find this giant.
Yeah.
Well,
But
he's not the real threat, I guess, and it's laid bare in the opening scene.
yeah.
and
And I believe this is also the first scene where we see the giant kind of like switch, like because the hunters
Yeah.
like are afraid. They point the gun at him, and this is when like he loses that innocence and goes into like
His-
emergency override mode where his eyes get really small and beady and red, and it's kind of like an attack or defense mode. And this is not the giant that you want to be around because at that point he's programmed to just kill and destroy, it seems.
yes.
Yeah.
Whatever his origins were, his creators, they had programmed him or it to be, you know, a killer.
Their intent was for harm.
A gun. He's basically becoming what that the hunters are holding because he now knows nothing else but to eliminate, and it's due
Wow.
to his own creation. And so he runs off the hunters, and I think shortly after this, we get a scene where Hogarth is playing with the giant in the scrapyard.
This is the following day. So before this little sequence happens, this is the dream sequence where you can tell that the giant is like sad and like kind of bothered by the fact that he found this dead deer after he just saw it being, you know, happy and frolicking in alive in the wild. And this is where Hogarth is like, you know, everything that's living dies, you know, but you know, if I've been told if you have a soul and if you are, you know, a good person, when you die, it's not the end. You're going to go on to something bigger and greater than what you're experiencing now. So, again, getting incredibly existential for a children's movie, all the while telling this to some robotic alien who, do you know if this thing has a soul? Do you know if it's good? Or you do know it's good, but do you know if it has a soul? It's not human. So you're kind of like toying with that idea of what happens to all good entities when they pass, you know? Talking about animals, you're talking about, you know, anything that isn't necessarily human. What happens?
You know, the Hogarth, I don't know that he's necessarily even weighing those things. Us as adults, we weigh
adults,
those
we
things.
100% do, and I think it was written for that. It was written with that intent. I believe that.
He's the good in the giant, and he accepts that for the face value that he needs moving forward. But And I want to make mention of the comic books that they're reading. He shows
Yeah.
them several comic books, but it always comes back to Superman, and I'm going to play into
Superman,
that at the
yeah.
end. But yeah, they're playing in the scrapyard. The Giants playing with Hogarth, and Hogarth points a fake gun at him, like the Nerf gun I think we saw earlier from his house.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and it switches the Giant instantly. And
He
that's
goes back into that emergency kill defense mode, whatever you want to call
and
it.
Dean notices this, and Dean immediately,
Yes.
because he is the adult, he is not always just everyone's good all the time. He still understands that this thing could be a weapon from another government. That's an alien.
I mean,
who knows?
he literally sees the Giant like activate its like eye laser beams and shoot out, whatever's in front of him feet from Hogarth, who's not really even like paying attention because he's in his own little.
He doesn't
childhood
recognize how dangerous.
world.
He doesn't recognize how dangerous the Giant is. He doesn't see it. With it being right in front of him, he can't see it.
Yeah.
And Dean pushes him out of the way, and Dean starts freaking out at the Giant, telling him to get out of here, leave him alone. He's trying to kill Hogarth. And the Giant snaps back out of it, and now he's kind of like, I don't know what happened. I blinked out, and he's sad because he's realizing what he almost did. And
is this when Hogarth tells the Giant like be who you want to be, and then the Giant says something to the effect of I am not gun, and
and I think we even skipped over a part because this was so powerful. But there's a scene before this where Mansley found out that the Giant is at the barn or at the scrapyard.
That's right. Yeah.
So he found out through Hogarth, because he threatened to take Hogarth from his mother. He said, "We're the government. We can do whatever we want." And Hogarth tells him where the Giant is, and they have this big stare down at night. And eventually he gets the slip. Mansley falls asleep, and Hogarth's able to slip out of the house somehow and put stuff under his pillow, including the helmet that his dad had. So I'm assuming he left to tell Dean and the Giant that night and slipped back in. But Mansley calls the army, and the army shows up with all these trucks and tanks. They go looking for the Giant, and they open the containment area where all the scrap is, and Dean just plays it off like it's one of his art pieces.
Yeah, he dressed it up and made it seem like someone was paying him for this work of art. He already has the check signed, and he's just holding it until the guy gets his thing settled and can pick it up. That's what it is. And
then the army leaves, and they're pissed. And then we get the scene with the gun, and the Giant leaves, runs off, which then signifies the army. Because Mansley and the army see it now, and they're like, holy shit.
He's in the middle of downtown Rockwell, towering above the buildings, and Mansley's like, look, I'm not lying. And they're like, holy shit, that's real. All right, turn around,
If
folks.
I had $1 for every time I said that. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So, Derek, what happens now? Like, now that the army sees the Giant, Dean and Hogarth are after it to try to save him, what do we get now?
Well, once the Giant recognizes that, he's got a gun pointed at him, what does he become?
An incredible gun, a multi-gun, a multi-Swiss Army gun.
Yeah, planet-destroying gun.
Yeah, he's got laser weapons, like arm cannons, some sort of like incinerator.
1950s sci-fi mega monster nightmare.
Yeah. Like towering, like he's starting to destroy some of the army vehicles. Like we're getting all that, and then
he's a war machine at that point.
War machine,
yeah.
And what happens now, Derek? Now that we get the war machine out,
correct me if I'm wrong. Is the first time that happens, does he run away the first time, like into the woods? Like he runs as soon as he sees that he did it. Like he runs off into the woods. Like he runs away from it the first time. And then they go after him.
Yeah, I think he's just running, and then now he's at the point we're at now. He's full on just gone. He is in fight or flight mode.
He is in that defense destroyed mode. He is stuck in it. He's not getting out until he's killed and blown up a couple tanks. He shot off that incinerator beam. He's definitely murdered a number of armed troops for sure. But then he makes his way back to town.
Back to the town.
And what happened was, to set things off, Mansley lied and said that he killed the kid.
Yep.
He told the general that he killed a kid. We have to go after him. When in reality, Dean told Mansley, this giant's not bad. It just has a defense mechanism that locks in every time it's threatened. The kid's with
Exactly. Yeah.
Mansley twisted those words, told the general, and that's what ensued.
But no, the general wasn't going to do it. But Mansley takes the detonator button takes the walkie-talkie from him and sends the command.
And what happens now is somehow Hogarth has now talked to the giant and got him out of that defense mode, and the giant is holding Hogarth. So the army's like, hold your fire, don't.
And they can see that what Dean had said was true. He has a defense mechanism that gets triggered when he's threatened, but he's really not a bad entity.
Right.
And like you said, Derek, the general was not going to pull that tactical nuke. He wasn't going to ask for that to be deployed.
The general is almost convinced when he says, look, he's out of the defense mode. The general comes to his senses and he's like, okay, he's weighing, okay, well, are we safe now? But Mansley is hell-bent.
Yeah, well, and I want to bring up a point here because I was thinking about this, like thinking about perspective. Like, this is the find of the century. This is one of the greatest human finds ever. Like, you want to study this thing. So why would you want to nuke it from a standpoint of a government agent? You would want to bring this in so that you can, even if we're thinking about it from a military standpoint, you want to bring this in and figure out how to produce these weapons. And can we turn this giant into it's an evil thing to think about, but it is exactly how this government would work. I don't understand Mansley's logic to trying to nuke it. It never made sense to me. Mansley would try to be like, this is my discovery. This is what I found. I'm going to get promoted. This is all the riches to me kind of thing. So it didn't make his logic didn't make any sense to me.
Mansley's an idiot.
Does that speak to maybe the commentary that Berg was weighing in on with the film on the whole gun control debate? It's like he wants to make an anti-gun film, but you'll never have no guns. So is that him saying it's ridiculous for us to want to say you'll never have to get rid of it all? One button clean sweep takes it all away. That's ridiculous and a radical idea,
right?
And would lead to more people dying. Or is it better to say, well, why don't we come to a table and have a conversation about it? I don't know. I'm only asking. I guess I'm not suggesting.
I think there's something to that, but I also think it's just a greater commentary on our prone for violence, like how easily do we jump into wars? How easily do we retaliate and respond with mass amounts of violence and destruction? I think that is just Mansley in a nutshell.
Exactly. Is Mansley any different without a gun? Is he any different for wielding a missile?
But you could even use the commentary reverse too, because like it's the gun violence is not the only commentary we're making. We're making like you can be who you want to be, or you can choose to not be what others think of you. And in this case, you could use the commentary of they see this giant as a weapon that we could use. And you can kind of hit all commentary there and have like a logical villain at that point. But I'm not saying that like dropping the nuke is something that somebody wouldn't do. It felt a little off because of how he wanted to destroy this thing that could have been useful for the same reason, because you're trying to use it as a gun.
I think Mansley just encapsulates how, like I said, how reactive we are and how we don't even think about our consequences when it comes to violence. I think that's all he's saying. I think it's that simple, honestly.
Yeah.
And it is a kid's movie. So
It is. Yeah. We don't have to go that in depth. But
and as we said, he grabs the walkie-talkie from the general and says, "Fire the nuke." And so they just that's enough. So they just fire this nuke off. And the army is pissed, and he's like, Mansley, where's the giant standing? And then he looks over. It's like great visual comedy. He looks over and he sees the giant who has not moved, who still has Hogarth in his hands. And they looks over, and he starts panicking. He's like, I don't want to die. And so he gets in this Jeep and starts driving off, and then the giant puts his hand there, and he's ejected from the Jeep and knocked unconscious, which I laughed.
Rightfully so.
But this nuke is now in the air. What happens next, Derek?
It's headed straight for the town, and that's when the big central question, sets in on the giant. Are we what others tell us we are, or are we who we choose to be? And the giant decides to make a choice there, and he wants to be the hero.
Yeah,
and so
he flies.
He flies straight towards the missile,
which we just learned recently in the battles that he can fly, because that's how he saves Hogarth originally. But
which, even as a kid, brought me to tears.
Yeah. Well, and he says, because he says
his line.
Yeah, he says, "I am Superman."
Superman. Which he collides with the missile.
Right. The symbol on Superman's chest is hope. So that's what that means. So as he's flying and he's saying he is hope to stop gun violence is, I think, the big takeaway there. And he collides with the missile. It explodes in the sky, but he saves everybody, at his own cost. And everyone in the town is at least okay.
And that isn't the end, but it's very close to the end, because as soon as that scene...
it's enough for the dust to settle for us to feel like he really did sacrifice himself. He was a hero. Dean ends up getting with the mom, and he has made a statue to commemorate the Iron Giant that's up in the town, and we really get a sense that people respect the sacrifice that the giant had made.
Right, and that he was a hero after all. And then the general gives Hogarth a gift, and it turns out to be a piece of the giant. He's like,
it was a screw from his jaw.
Yeah, and he's like, this is the last thing, this is the only thing we found, but we thought you should have it. And then it kind of cuts to Hogarth. He's like looking at the screw, and he's looking out his window. It's at nighttime. And then a blue light goes off in the screw. And we didn't mention this earlier, but there's a scene where the giant, especially, I think it was when he got electrocuted.
It was after the train wreck. It was after the train wreck.
The train wreck,
his body gets mangled.
Yeah,
and broken.
The train had mangled his body, and all he did was put an antenna out of his head, and it would flick this Bluetooth signal basically, and anything that got mangled would walk back to the giant and fix itself. And so the screw starts rolling out the window, and you see a big smile on Hogarth's face because he knows the giant's still alive. And that's all he's got to do is just smile. And then it cuts to Antarctica, and we see all the pieces of the giant slowly reforming, and we see his head buried in the snow and his eyes open. And that's the end of the Iron Giant.
That is the end. That is the finite end.
That's the actual end. A bit of hope. A bit of hope. He is coming back.
There's all and we want sequels. Oh wait, we didn't make enough, so no sequels there. Because
one thing that.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I don't want to forget.
No, go ahead.
We watched. What was the edition? What was the name of the edition that we watched?
Signature edition.
Signature edition.
I didn't watch the signature. I just watched the OG.
We did. There was a dream sequence that we didn't discuss. We mentioned it, but we didn't discuss exactly.
What is this dream sequence? Because I haven't seen it.
So he's sleeping in the scrapyard, and he's having some sort of I don't want to say night terror, but it's a nightmare, and it kind of shows what his original creation intention was, and that was to destroy. It shows him on some foreign planet, just blowing things up, marching in line with other giants or robots of his ilk, almost identical. I think they were identical, and they were just destroying things left and right, and he didn't like it. His body was twitching as we were getting these images of him just destroying things and destroying people.
I could see why they pulled it out. It ultimately, I wouldn't have needed that scene to know that he had issues with himself being destroyed.
Yeah. You know what's weird too is it was the same runtime as the normal edition. You're saying you're adding stuff, but it didn't add time. So that means do they take other stuff away that's in the original edition? Should we just watch them again back to back on two separate monitors and see what we can pinpoint?
Just to see what they did. You know what? Let's do it right now.
Yeah. I'll just pause this episode and go do that and come back in an hour and a half. But Derek, let's start with you. Okay, so watching this movie as a kid, obviously we picked up on some heavier themes as an adult. Tell me what you think.
I mean, it still was effective for me. It was still very emotionally resonant at the end. I think hearing what Bird's intentions were for the film gives it a more profound meaning even than I had even felt personally. So I still think that the film's a ringer in my book. I recommend people to watch it for sure. I think it's a great movie.
Andrew, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a lot of strong, poignant memories about this movie because I was a little young, but I remember it having some sort of effect on me. And I can absolutely see why. It was very in depth emotionally for a children's movie. The message was pretty clear and pretty strong and relevant. Still so relevant. Will always be relevant so long as human beings are around and are violent and have the option to choose between right or wrong. Yeah, I teared up when he sacrificed himself for the town and for the world. Really, it was tender. It was simple, but so effective. And yeah, I didn't know what to expect. Like I said, I knew that the hype around this was a thing, but I went into it with an open mind, and yeah, it lived up to that for sure.
It's one of those movies that I think is really relevant to today. It's always going to be relevant. Like it is one of those subject matters that no
Always,
matter how far we go into time, but it's just the hallmark of a good movie is its staying power and how we can look at it, when we watched it at 8, 9 years old, and now we're watching it again in our 30s, and it still has a lot of powerful meaning, and it has more meaning than we uncovered as kids. I relate to the movie a lot, especially with I'm just a sucker for 50s sci-fi monster movies. That was stuff that I grew up with. It was stuff that I just remember vividly as a kid. That kind of sucked me in, and then the overall meaning of you can be whoever you want to be and you don't have to be a weapon. That kind of got me. It's hard to say, what is the best animated movie I've seen, but I can definitely say this is probably one of the better ones I've seen in a very long time.
Oh, absolutely. I would, like I said, even like without consciously wanting to rewatch it again, I would have always said, well, in top 10, it would have percolated some for sure.
And I see why people are reevaluating it too as adults. Like I see why people are loving this, and like it's just such a great find, and it's worth kids watching now.
Oh, Derek, this is one that you're going to show your son when he is,
Tomorrow.
Emotionally ready for it. No, yeah,
I'm doing it tomorrow. I'm doing it tonight. I'm going to wake him up right now. Let me go wake him up.
Signature edition.
I'm going to watch this right now.
Yeah, don't wait. But no, like it's
I want to see the deleted
show. You're going to show him, and when he's, aware and things, you're going to be able to explain. I feel it more in depth and use it as a real teaching mechanism. You'll be able to explain the things that we missed as a kid to him that I think would be so lasting. So this movie's not done yet. It's not done yet. We're going to show this to generations, before or after us, and it will have maybe that lasting effect that we kind of missed when we were kids.
What, Derek? What if you show
something special?
What if you show your son this and then he just wants a gun?
I'm gonna buy him a machine gun at that point. Just whatever he wants. Times 10.
Go to Arizona and buy a mini gun because you can do that for free in Arizona.
I'll just start big with a 50 cal and see where it goes.
Just an MP5 mini gun, 9mm, son.
You got it. Mini gun, whatever you want. 10x.
I think minigun would be a really good starting point because you can do a lot with that.
I do think so. Adding on to what you just said, Andrew, on a going back to a more serious note. As a kid, it's unfortunate. How do I say this? You don't always have the life experience, or even as simple as I don't want to say simple because it's not simple, but like you don't have the cinematic language, like you don't have a way to watch a movie. I think that's what I'm getting at here. As a kid, did you know how to watch a movie, or did you just watch a movie? And I
Yeah.
think there's an important distinction there, because I think me as a kid, I was enamored by movies. I don't think I ever knew how to watch a movie up until later in life, actually, up until like maybe college. I didn't really
Yeah.
know how to watch a movie. And I think that it's important, and it's something that I'm absolutely want to help encourage my kid in that way, is and to help. I would hope to inspire him to really watch a movie, as opposed to simply, you know,
I th-
just be a passive, to be an active member in the participation
100%.
of that, as opposed to just being a passive participant. Because as a kid, I'll speak for myself. I was a passive participant with movies. So yeah, you think the movies are great and they might move you, but you don't know why they're moving you. And I think it's important for us to learn as quickly as we can, of why something might move us or why we might feel a certain way,
in
and to be active participants in watching film.
Coming back to this movie and seeing it and seeing how great it was, it disappoints me that it got missed by,
Yeah.
I don't want to say an entire generation.
damn Disney and Tarzan. We're gonna say that
Yeah.
right here, right now. If it wasn't for
So,
Phil Collins going that hard on that soundtrack, everyone will know about the Iron Giant right now.
Correct. And I think, just kind of as an ode to the greatness of this movie, I think this is one that we should show to our kids and kind of question them and talk them through and use that as a starting point to look at things differently and to, really ask themselves some deeper questions that they normally wouldn't. I think it's a good starting point. I don't necessarily think you need to do like Venn diagrams and write a dissertation and have them write an essay. But use it as a
Should though.
starting
You
point.
totally should.
Out
make
of
your son
respect,
read that,
yes, out of respect for how great this movie is, I think it kind of, it deserves that attention. So
Hey, and I agree with both of you too. Just adding just another point to it, and I also didn't have an award-winning director as my father, so I didn't get the opportunity to learn.
I'm sorry, Chase. I let you down.
Yeah, you did. But my brother, I did learn a little bit from my brother. I got to give him props. He's listening, hopefully. He was a theater major, and he saw those things. And we had a 7-year gap, so we didn't spend a lot of time together because of just age difference. And then he was in a different part of his life when I was in like that point in my life where I could learn about film. But he did teach me some stuff, and he's the reason that I have listened to a lot of music, because he would just slip albums to me that my parents definitely would have not let me listen to, especially the Sex Pistols. So thanks, Brian. A big thank you for that.
I hope I want to be there for my child in all the ways that we're talking about right now. And I love movies, and I think movies are important. They're an important part of our culture. It's an important part of what it is to be a human at this place where I exist right here, right now. And I think that's an important thing, and or a wonderful thing. And I want my kid to experience that, and experience it, in a healthy way, and whatnot. And the themes in this film are, it's you could say it's a coming of age film for an outer space robot, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Like we're here before Wally.
It's a Stand By
And,
Me and for sci-fi.
a coming of age movie about a robot from space that was missed by more than half of a generation.
Did anybody
We're not
catch the
appreciated.
did anybody catch the Blue Chew ad at the end of it, or was that just my version?
No, that was in my special edition or whatever it was. I don't think Derek caught
Signature
that, but
edition?
signature.
Yeah,
that was
I
in
had,
the
I had
signature.
rented it. It was ad free. So
Great. Well, Derek, starting with you, we can make this pretty quick because I think we all know where we're going. Does it hold up?
it holds up,
Andrew,
without a doubt.
what do you think?
Yeah, unequivocally, yes.
I agree. I think it holds up 1,000%. Probably one of the best movies
One
we've
of the-
seen.
Yeah.
Probably top five. Probably top five.
I would easily put it there right now. Yes.
Derek, we do IMDb ratings. You listen to the show. So what would you give this on the IMDb rating score?
I would give it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do they do integer ratings? It's
Yeah,
not
they
just
do.
like. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I would give it a decimal. Man, I would give this a solid 8.5.
Ooh, high praise there, but you know,
Yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm a silly. You rate more movies than I do. So.
I love Aaron's description of it when Aaron was on the show. He was like, if you give it an 8.5, you're saying it's better than 85% of the films out there because of the way that the scores are
Oh
aggregated.
dang. Okay. Well, if you put it that way, let me just give it an 8.
Good.
I could say it's better than 80%, maybe.
An even 8. All right.
Andrew, what about you?
Even 8.
I was gonna give it. I think I gave Land Before Time a 7.8.
Oh shit,
Um,
dude. Oh shit, guys.
gonna,
I'm probably way off then compared to you.
no, I'm probably gonna give it a 7.8 as well. I maybe even say 7.9, but I'm gonna settle with 7.8 because I think it's right on par, honestly, with Land
That's
Before
a,
Time.
let's be honest. That's an agnostic score. You're not 1 foot in. You're not 1 foot out. You're like, let me dip my toe on a score here and see how it fits.
So I gave.
I gotta stay consistent, That's all it is.
I think I
So,
gave The
yeah,
Land Before
you
Time
are.
a 7.6, so I'll say 7.7 here. I liked it a little bit more than Land Before
7.
Time, but it just
All right,
it hit
now
me a little bit more.
If Brad were sitting right here in front of you, the director, would you say the same?
Yes, I would probably give it a
Yes.
6.5 to hurt
Okay,
his
all right, cool.
feelings.
Respect.
Yeah.
Nothing but respect for you guys. All right.
Yeah, we can't be nice to the directors on the show. You're the
You
only
can't
one that
you
gets
can't
that
be
privilege.
you can't be bought or sold unless it's Blue Chew.
Unless it's
Blue
Blue Chew
Chew.
or Tailor Made.
Bill for all the other times.
Yep. And Tailor Made, please send us clubs.
And
Andrew needs.
Yeah, I need a new driver and some golf balls. So
Well, Derek, you got a few seconds, man. Tell everyone at home where they can find you, what you got going on.
in a healthy way, I'm staying off social media as much as I can. So you could follow me on Instagram, sure, the _Derek Evans. But I'm really trying to pay attention to family and look after my son and raise him correctly and get him out there and build his confidence. And I'm trying to work on some feature film projects and documentaries coming up. The feature film, I can't say too much of it. I'm spearheading the reshoots, like I said before, at the beginning or at the end of March here, and I'll be proud of the film when it's done, and I'll be able to tell you more about it at that point. But I can't say anything at the moment. And then I've got the Steel Soldier documentary. My buddy Jamie is the director of that. I am a producer editor on that. We are gearing up for some more shoots for that documentary. If you're into the wild underground sport of armored combat, we got something really cool coming. So
Well, and two, I want to point out we need to get Jamie on the show. He's the one that's missed
absolutely,
us several times.
100%. Yes, 100%.
Do you think he's actually
Okay.
dodging us on purpose at this point?
No, not at all. I could throw you. He's got a kid coming on the way. He's got a kid
Jamie,
on the way.
come on, man. What are you doing?
And so he's been busy as well, maybe even busier than me.
he's been busy for a minute. I feel like
which is no
really
surprise. Yeah.
swamped for months. Not the
Hardworking,
but
hardworking fella.
He is a
Yeah.
hardworking fella, but we're gonna lay it down right now. Jamie, coming up soon. You dig out some. I mean, this episode's going long, but you just dig out an hour or so. We got you. Just remember that.
we want you, Jamie. We
Um,
want you.
Derek, thank you for being
Yeah.
on the show, supporting the show. This is your second episode. We hope that you will do more in the future. We look
Yeah,
forward to the
100%.
time that Jamie comes onto the show. We'll keep the audience updated on the things that you're doing, even if you're not, so that we can praise you when we can. Barely
Well,
Breathing, can they find Barely Breathing anywhere right now?
Oh yeah, so Neil and I are working on a release. It's been a long time coming. We've had a lot of people asking us about it, and it's just been one of those things where holy shit, 8 months has gone by since it's last been seen by anyone. So we're going to be releasing that soon. So details TBD, but we've been building some marketing materials for just having an online release. Nothing crazy, nothing special. Wish it was going somewhere more, but online it's going to find a home. So
Awesome.
Be available to you, everyone listening to this show, and we'll drop the link when it drops, and just go watch it. Support our
boom.
friends, support local art, and support some of the best directors. out there.
Award-winning film to come out of Atlanta.
Well, in the meantime, you know what we do here. We reach into your childhood nostalgia, pull the movies from your past out. Today, we've pulled out The Iron Giant, realized it's probably one of the best films we've ever seen on the show. So we're going to let you hold on to that memory. Go watch it. You can follow us on social media, Instagram and TikTok. And then we're coming your way next week as we watch Titan AE with Tyler Aldridge, a guest that we've very excited to have on the show, who's going to talk a little animation. Derek, thank you again from me and Andrew, and we hope to see you in the future on another episode.
Awesome. It's been a pleasure to be a part of this, guys. Thank you so much.
See you all next week.